Enfield began as a staging post on the Great Connaught Road leading from Dublin to the west in the early 18th century. What began as 19 Milestone ended up as the village of Enfield that we have today. Enfield continued to be important for transport and communication routes with the arrival of the Royal Canal and then the railway, and today its proximity to the M4. Enfield Harbour has a car park, picnic area, mooring and slipway facilities. The old canal houses, which housed people up until the 1960s, were demolished as they were in poor condition. The railway station and a variety of connected buildings came with the arrival of the Midland Great Western Railway Company in the late 1840s. When the railway opened, canal boats ceased all passenger traffic between Dublin and Enfield. The Boyne Aqueduct carries the canal about 15 metres above the Enfield Blackwater River. Just before the aqueduct itself, there is a solid stone chamber in the canal which can be used for stop gates to prevent the loss of water if there is ever a breach on the long level of the canal. By crossing the aqueduct, you're crossing from County Meath into County Kildare. This section ends at Kilmore Bridge, which was erected in 1793. A wire fence was erected separating the greenway from the railway from Kilmore Bridge to My Valley. In 1807, the Royal Canal Hotel was opened at My Valley and was reported to have been the best of its kind and one of the best kept of any in Ireland. Like the canal itself, the hotel found it hard to remain viable. John Switzer purchased it in 1848 and converted it into a hydropathic business with a bathhouse containing a large swimming or plunge pool, 4 steam baths, 7 vertical douches and hot and cold horizontal douches. The hydro remained in operation for some time, and following its closure, Switzer continued to live in it until his death. His grandson used the house as a family home until 1912 when he sold it. The upkeep of the large house was too expensive and the old building was left exposed to the elements. The ivy-covered ruin was eventually demolished to make way for the realigned road in 1974. Nearby is Ballina House, now part of My Valley Hotel and Golf Resort. Ballina estate was granted by Queen Elizabeth I to the O'Moore family. In 1577, the English invited the O'Moores to a peace conference at Ballantor, County Kildare. When the 40 O'Moores arrived, the English opened fire with their musket and killed them all. Rory O'Moore, the head of the family, is said to have fled into the woods at Ballina when Cromwell's soldiers approached. To ensure that he found his path to the woods, he plunged his walking stick into the ground. Managing to elude his enemies, he exited the wood where he had placed his walking stick, only to find it had begun to grow. It grew into a tall Scots pine, and a legend grew in the family that as long as the tree was healthy, the Moores would stay at Ballina. In 1957, the tree declined and died, and shortly afterwards, the family left Ballina. Ballina was sold in 1960. And was owned by Bewley's Oriental Cafe until 1983. The milk and cream in the cafes in Dublin came from the pedigree Jersey herd at Ballina. My Valley was developed into a hotel and golf resort in 2007. Fury's is a well-known stopping point on the Royal Canal walkway. It is an unusual building made of different materials and dates from about 1920. One of the interesting materials used is corrugated iron, which would have arrived by the railway.